Hey, everybody, this is Brian for a solo episode of Curiosity Continuum. If you like what you hear on this podcast and want to dive deeper into other content that we have, please reach out to us on curiositycontinuum.com and find us on your favorite podcast app. You can subscribe and receive notifications of new content. I'm going to start this conversation with you today with myself talking to yourselves. You know how that goes. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the phrase, tell me more about that. Now, I learned this phrase a long time ago, and I'm sure you have as well. But the application of it, I became more deliberate about, especially over the last few years. This is because the best stories and the best answers, in order for others to gain understanding, is to say, tell me more about that. Oftentimes, if there's a subject matter that somebody has said something and you don't know, you could either say, I don't care. You could say, all right, whatever, and kind of just go along with it and pretend you know. Or you could say, well, I want to know more about that. Tell me more. Tell me more is an open invitation because the person on the other side say, that's all you're getting, right? That could be their answer. But oftentimes, if it's a subject that's of importance to them, whether it's a personal passion, whether it's an area of expertise, you can draw somebody out by saying, tell me more about that. In a genuine sense as well. People can tell if you're not serious about wanting to hear more. But I find often, especially when you're in a room, and I'm going to speak particularly to people who are introverts, those questions actually allow the other person to talk more and for you to listen more. And listening is always a good skill to have. Now, if you hear me talk or you've met me in real life, you'll know that out of Josh and myself, I would be the more extroverted one. But I will tell you this, that much of my life, I've learned to be an extrovert. I've become practiced in the arts enough to be an extrovert in certain situations. Now, I recharge the way an introvert does. I love the peace and quiet. I love to be able to spend time by myself. I like to be able to reflect. Even though I'm a musician, I love music. I love to recharge with no sound. Or if it is something very quiet and introspective, right? That's the introverted part of me. You have to understand that people don't necessarily know that you care if you're not sharing much of yourself. Now, people hopefully would want to know about you and you can share. But I'll tell you, some of the best conversations I've had and have allowed me to enter into conversations when I've been tired and shagged out after a prolonged day of peopling, to be able to just have a moment and say, hey, tell me more about that. It's also become a very useful tool when you're coaching or when you're talking to people because it allows them to share from a place where they are comfortable. Or it may be something where they're not comfortable, but you're giving them the permission to share more. Tell me more about that is an open invitation to have people tell you more. As funny as that sounds, we do a very poor job of listening these days. We hear what somebody said, but did you listen? And I've been guilty of that, where I've given enough of a cursory, like sensory acknowledgement of something, but did I really let it go in? I can tell you the times when I haven't let it go in, and I'm not a better person for it. Not even just if it was maybe not even worth listening to after you listen to it, but the practice and the discipline of turning that part of you on. It allows people to share. It also allows you to practice empathy. Now, some people are naturally empathetic by their skill sets, just by how they're wired. They're a natural person who just cares and are caring. My wife is one of those people. And all the feels, all the things. And she's an excellent nurturer. And people who are around her for what she does with her art and her professional life, with aesthetics and things, they recognize that, they appreciate it because she truly cares. Now, I truly care, but I've had to practice my empathetic side because oftentimes I can let the intellectual side take over, which means I'm trying to parse things out rather than just let it sit. You know, when I was young, I didn't have as many friends. I didn't have many friends just because by choice. Sometimes it wasn't by choice. And part of the ways that I learned to come out of my own shell was learn to listen to people. Didn't make it so centered about myself. And my mom once told me this, and you may go, well, how dare she say that? Yeah, she said, being shy is being selfish because you're more concerned about yourself and what other people think of you than extending care or consideration to listen to somebody, to talk with them, to give them yourself. You're a gift and you can share that with people. Don't be so shy that you are not engaging and giving of yourself and allowing others just to have that time with you as well. And that has meant a lot to think about. I've asked myself, how can I give in this situation? And also, when you feel like you've given everything you've got, how can I show this other person that I care? How can I make a connection with somebody? I think if you're naturally a connector, you go, oh, yeah, I just connect. But sometimes you're in a strange situation. You're in a place that's not familiar to you. And you have to have some tools that you can go to try to, how do I find my way in this situation? How can I learn more about something? What can I learn about this person that I didn't know before? One of the best things to do is turn on your listening ears and simply say, when you're curious, tell me more about that. Until next time, this is Brian for Curiosity Continuum.